Stephen Colbert's show has been canceled. It's great. Great news, is it not?
This is incredible on so many levels. And I'm going to call him on this for the Mail. But so I was reading, this is such a New York Times way to cover it. So they talked to this guy in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, who was out having dinner and got the alert on his phone that the Colbert Show has been canceled. And he sprung up like he was Batman getting the bat signal and got on the subway and rode it right up to the Ed Sullivan Theater to mourn with Colbert's like 3 other fans up there. It's amazing. It says everything about the irrelevance of this show.
That is amazing. And let me tell you something else. This just hit from reporter Matt Bellany, founding partner of Puck News and formerly Hollywood Reporter. The timing and optics, he says, are terrible for the Colbert cancellation. Not true, not true, not true. The timing and optics are perfect. Only leftists think that the timing and optics are terrible because they think somehow this was retaliatory because Stephen Colbert was ripping on CBS for entering into that $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, who was suing them over the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview and the edited clips, claiming it was a deceptive practice under Texas law. So they settled the case for $16 million because, frankly, it's obvious, they have a merger going on right now where their parent company, Paramount, is trying to sell itself to Skydance. And they need approval by Trump's FCC. And the belief is that they just paid what to them is a drop in the bucket to make Trump go away on this lawsuit. Okay, fine. Well, Colbert went out there and cried. Do we have him ripping on it? I don't think we have that. But anyway, he went on there recently and he ripped on his own employer for this settlement. And that's why the left is like, oh, the optics are terrible. Like this was clearly just like they fired Colbert to satisfy Trump. Number one, if that's true, you can put another feather in Trump's cap for doing something great and making America great again. Okay. Number two, there's zero proof to that effect whatsoever. And Sherry Redstone, who is the head of CBS, has known that Colbert is a chief Trump antagonist and that Trump hates Colbert since the beginning of Colbert and Trump as, dual public figures, and has not fired Colbert, has renewed him time and time again, including recently for a 3-year deal when she must have known this merger was in the works. So it doesn't make sense to me, but here's why I raised the Matt Bellany report here. It's not for his prelude, with which I disagree. He says, he says, Colbert's show costs more than $100 million a year to produce and is losing more than $40 million a year. That's unbelievable. So net, it takes in about 60. It's losing $40 million a year. He writes CBS execs had been mulling for a long time whether to pull the plug.
This is amazing for so many reasons, but culturally it's so indicative of it's another nail in the coffin for legacy media. And it's not just that they're canceling Colbert, they're killing the show altogether. Now, late night talk shows have been in America's living rooms basically since the birth of television. And we've been hearing rumblings over at ABC that they're none too pleased with Jimmy Kimmel's performance, and he's the next one to go. Jimmy Fallon is down to 4 days a night, and there have been rumors that his show is on the chopping block. Seth Meyers, who is in the 12:30 slot at NBC, had to fire his band as a cost-cutting measure. Ellen DeGeneres lost her show. She's out of the country. Oprah has become a joke in the culture. Kelly Clarkson, who is the last remaining monocultural daytime talk show, is losing her mind over there. That show is apparently, whether it's the jab plus the schedule, she is in a meltdown for the ages. She just canceled her Las Vegas residency Adele style, like a minute before she was supposed to take the stage. Yeah, so it's a dying format. It's a dying art form. People are going to YouTube, to the digital lane, elsewhere. Finally, with Stephen Colbert, I mean, he is such a schoolmarm. He is such a hectoring, humorless lecturer. Hardworking people at the end of their night do not want to be lectured by the likes of a bespectacled Stephen Colbert projecting from his diaphragm. They want some laughs. They want some stuff to go down easy, and they want to be lulled to sleep. He's not the guy.
No, here's a sample of what his show looked like in recent months. And this, I would submit to you, is why Stephen Colbert's show is no more.
What's going on in LA reminds us that as citizens, it is crucial to speak out against Trump's fascist impulses, his rampant corruption, and his egregious violations of our norms and our laws. The last time a president bypassed a governor to send in the National Guard was 1965, when LBJ used troops to protect civil rights demonstrators in Alabama. So we've come full circle. Troops were deployed to protect protesters by Lyndon B. Johnson, and now they're being used to threaten protesters by Donald B. Dick. And today we learned that U.S. intelligence has determined Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium was not destroyed, and their centrifuges are largely intact. Oops-a-nookie. So less Operation Midnight Hammer and more Operation MC Hammer.
Oh my God, so dumb. Maureen is a writer.
That is a terrible joke. $100 million to produce that? Are you kidding me?
Right.
He should take a meeting over at MSNBC and see if he can get Jen Psaki's failing slot. You know, that seems like more the natural environment for him.
That's what he wants. He doesn't want laughs. He wants applause for political hit pieces, which he really loves to do. So great. Why don't we just acknowledge that and stop pretending he's a comedian who is in the business of being funny? He isn't. And then he puts on politicians. He doesn't cross-examine them in any way. You know, he doesn't hold his own or hold his salt against people like Kamala Harris by bringing up things that are diametrically opposed to what he's being told. So I don't know. I mean, so he will fit in perfectly on MS, by the way. I mentioned that the left is freaking out. And not just like the normal left. I'm talking about like political people are weighing in. Elizabeth Warren's having a meltdown. Mm-hmm. Stacey Abrams having a meltdown right now on X because they think this was punishment for, I mentioned this bit where he ripped on the Paramount settlement with Trump. Here he was on Monday, SOT 1.
While I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. Now, I believe this kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. Because this all comes as Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Not the music I was expecting. Okay. That was me dancing in the sky. And some of the TV typers out there are blogging that once Skydance gets CBS, the new owner's desire to please Trump could put pressure on late-night host and frequent Trump critic Stephen Colbert. Okay. But how are they going to put pressure on Stephen Colbert if they can't find him?
Oh my God. It's not funny. It's not clever.
It also just goes to the sheer hubris. Like, he thinks he's bigger than his bosses. He thinks he's bigger than CBS and Paramount and this merger that they've been trying to make happen forever with Skydance. And they're going to get it done. It seems like they are determined to get this done. And he goes on there and he's like, look at me. I'm such a rebel. You can't silence me. You won't find me. Again, like, who is he serving other than the ego of Stephen Colbert? And I'm so glad you brought up that Kamala interview too. Sorry, but like, remember she went on, it was like days before the election, maybe a week, and you could see him having the realization in real time, this woman's a moron. I can't get her to complete a thought. He was trying to spoon feed her, some rhetoric, and she wouldn't take it. She wouldn't take it.
She was doing some of her fake accents at the time. He was probably taken aback by who he was dealing with. Is Jamaican Kamala here? Is it Latina Kamala? We have no idea. No, he was trying to get her to like back off of what she said on The View about not disowning any Joe Biden's positions, and she wouldn't take the bait. It was just, look, he's a terrible man. I really think he's just not a good guy. I mean, he completely took that show, which was a great sort of platform in nighttime television, and the Ed Sullivan Theater, and completely drove it into the ground. He had originally been at Comedy Central, where he was more comedy. And when he moved over to CBS, he decided to be more pundit. He desperately wanted to be Keith Olbermann. And guess what? Keith Olbermann is a failure. And now so are you, Stephen Colbert. And they were paying him $15 million a year for that nonsense that we just witnessed. For him to dance around with vaccine needles during the COVID pandemic, which we all knew was controversial, but no, the left had decided that they were some sort of Eucharist. And for $15 million a year on a show that's losing $40 million a year, he had to see the writing on the wall. In fact, you could make a good argument that he went out there on that Monday and did that so he would have something to point back to as why he got fired when he knew all along his ratings were totally shitty and he didn't know how to book for late night. His guest, the last night he was on, Maureen, this is late night television. You get a Tom Cruise, right? You get The Rock. You get Julia Roberts or Sydney Sweeney. That is how you do late night TV. Look who he led with his last night on the air. Watch.
Ever since I led his first impeachment, he's threatened me with jail and prosecution and called me a traitor, accused me of treason, blah, blah, blah. He coerced Republicans into censuring me in the House, and now the latest attack on me. So I just want to direct this, if this is the right camera, or maybe that's the right camera.
That's the right camera right there.
Donald, piss off.
Let's notarize that.
But wait.
Yes.
But Donald, before you piss off, would you release the Epstein files?
Amazing that didn't work.
Such secondhand embarrassment watching that for everyone involved, but especially these milquetoast guys who try to sound so cool and edgy and telling the sitting president of the United States. Imagine if anyone on the right had done that on late night when Obama was president. I mean, the outrage we'd be hearing, that kind of rhetoric. Adam Schiff, I mean, I guarantee you, most people who are schlepping their way through an airport or a hospital waiting room would be like, who's that guy again? Who's that guy? That's like a Sunday morning show guest, like a Meet the Press or something. It's not a late night, sizzly, exciting, sexy guest. Oh, and the other great thing I meant to, he what?
He was the lead. It's one thing if you put him on third, in a longer lineup where you have an actual star leading it. People don't want to tune in to see the lead guest is Adam Schiff. That's just a nightmare. It's like,
oh my God. The other great thing I just read before the show was that apparently Stephen Colbert was informed by his bosses that he was getting the axe just the night before. And that to me sounds like a real humiliation. And that to me sounds like those bosses wanted to really stick it to him because they'd had it with him and his attitude. I would bet behind the scenes he is a nightmare monster. I would bet.
Yeah. Oh, here he is actually speaking to that in SOT 2, where he announced on Thursday night's program that the show had been canceled. Watch.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And
that's how bad you
want
were.
to say, I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us.
Okay, let me tell you something, Maureen. His numbers were 2.42 million viewers in the overall. And that put him slightly ahead of Jimmy Kimmel, who is at 1.77, and The Tonight Show was in third at 1.19 million. Jimmy Fallon has no viewers. I mean, my God, I can't believe he's drawing 1 million. Guaranteed he's going to be fired. Those numbers are not sustainable because they all these shows cost close to $100 million. They are not cheap to produce. There's zero chance that lasts. But then you look at the 18 to 49 demo where Kimmel was now beating Colbert. It was close. He was at 220,000, but that's a pittance. 220,000 in the 18 to 49-year-old demo. and Colbert had 219,000. Fallon bringing up a distant rear at 157,000. And let me just tell you what Greg Gutfeld is getting over on Fox, where if the budget for that show is $10 million, it's a lot. Excluding Greg's salary, which I'm going to guess is better than that. But in any event, $3.29 million, Greg Gutfeld gets $3.29 million. Any of these other guys would beg for $3.29 million. And in the 18 to 49-year-old demo, an average of 238,000, higher than all of them for a fraction of the cost. Because yes, Greg gets political, but he never forgets the number one rule is to make people laugh. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.